And you got to step outside your comfort zone
all the time.
I mean, for the longest time, we didn't coach because it was like that expense where it's just like.
But our mindset has shifted so much. And even bringing people onto the team, it's leveled us up because you're like, well, I don't want to fail them. And it's really fun to watch them, like watch it change their life too. You know, to hear like, I was able to do this or that with my family because of real estate. Or, hey, my business started growing when I joined the team. And it's just it's fun to do it together.
I think, but starting out though, like when you do see that first, like, oh yeah, you should have a coach. And then you look and you start researching it and it's like $2,000 a month. Like I just paid all this to get my license and everything else. Like, can I really take on this expense? Maybe at first you can't. But then, like you were saying, to challenge yourself to grow, you gotta like take those steps.
And so we didn't murder each other. So.
Well, and two, it's just so hard to do this on your own. Like you're like, as what people don't get is like you're always searching. Like, are we? It's like at the end of the day, you're always like not doubting yourself, but it's like, are we going in the right direction? Are we spending money in the right direction? Are we? Is this the right way to do this? This like, there's so many avenues to go down that it's like you need to. I think a great reason to have a coach is like they're also interacting with tons of agents, so they can see like, what is this my client doing? What's this client doing? What's this client? And then it's like, oh, well, this is what we're seeing in the market. This is what's working for other people. This is because it's like, you know, you try it once, but if everyone's fishing with different baits and then you see who's catching the fish and you go, oh, we're just going to fish with that bait now.
It's so easy to shift and be that butterfly mentality. Like when I first started in real estate, he was training realtors and it was all like the top producing realtors, a lot of them in San Diego. So he'd sit me down with them and it was like each person was doing something different that I'd overthink it all. Yeah. And it was like, so having that coach brings us back to
like to keep you in that lane.
Just stay consistent. I love something like Gwyneth Paltrow said, do 1,000 things 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that was from the Airbnb guy. Like just keep doing it consistently. Anything you do is it's
gonna work. It's all the same game. I just think that you have to stick to it, and I don't think people realize like how long it takes, especially in this market. You know, I said someone texted me yesterday. I've kind of given up on giving people advice, but like he texted me, I'm like, dude, you're coming into like the hardest market ever, dude.
Yes.
Like the last 2 years have been very difficult for new agents. Like I'm not gonna tell you, you know, my advice to you, start 5 years ago. Like really, like that's the best advice I could give anyone right now. Like you should have started 5 years ago.
It's easy right now. I'm like, it's hard right now.
So hard. Yes, the commission checks are bigger, but I've lost more clients, more listings. Totally. Like listings you put on the market, doesn't sell for the price, they 75 over, and then they're like, yeah, we're just gonna cancel. And you're like, dude, I've been working all those hours.
A lot of buyers too that are
I've lost so many buyers.
Going direct, falling out, you know.
It's that buyer fatigue. I think though the important thing is, and I've said it for a long time, is we control the narrative, right? As real estate agents, if we're out there just on social media, on platforms, on podcasts, on YouTube, saying, oh, this is a terrible time to get into real estate, well, we're setting that bar saying, hey, don't do it.
Yeah.
But if we just had our team meeting on the way here in the car and it was like, it's an opportunistic market.
Always.
There's always an opportunity.
This is the best time to buy.
Yeah.
That's all I keep on preaching. This is the best time to buy because you know what? Now you're competing. And this is why people need to work with top agents is that we're seeing offers come in on listings. Like I'm now seeing, before it was like everyone removed appraisal, everything was 50 above. Now it's like, you might have one or two of those, but now you're dealing with a lot of FHA, can't waive appraisal, a lot of 5% downs, a lot of 10%, can't waive appraisals. Like, what people don't get is like, I'm going to sit on the sidelines. Okay, well, when it goes back down,
keeps going up
when you're going to go back down, all those people that have been sitting on the sideline that are better buyers than you are just going to jump back in, then you're going to get beat again.
Right.
Like, you got to go now. Like, this is, you know, you might not be the best market for you, but do you really want a house or you don't want a house? That's the choice you really have to make.
Yeah. And if you're not planning on selling it in the next year,
what does it matter?
Really matter.
What does it matter?
The house we're closing on today. That's the same thing we're talking about. Does it matter if it crashes tomorrow?
If you can cash flow it.
As long as we can cash flow it, doesn't matter.
And at the end of the day, even if you're just breaking even for a while, you're still paying down your mortgage.
Yeah.
So then it's just like a piggy bank at that point that you just can't touch. I just think that that's like the craziest part. But I do think that's the biggest flaw in real estate is like we don't educate our followers enough. And what people don't get is like if you're not pushing out content, they're collecting content from some other place and they're controlling the narrative, not you.
Yep.
And, you know, I see people all the time like, oh, scumbag realtors, blah, blah, blah. It's like...
Well, it kind of goes back to, though, that guy, controlling the narrative today when you were talking about, he's talking about how all the markets are, like, the market's crashing, the headline. And so it's Idaho, but possibly, right? But then he makes it look like it's everywhere.
But it's not, and that's the thing. But then the funny part about it, but then they'll talk about areas that he thinks prices are going to go up. Right. So then I think that's the thing that sucks in the day and age that we live in that I'm interested to see moving forward is that those people are making money on clickbait and views. And what they have to realize is realtors, we make money on buying and selling homes.
Yep.
And if I'm planning on being around here for another 5 years, which I assume I will be, I need to keep you and educate you in the right direction. Because if I tell you something wrong and then something bad happens or whatever, you're going to be pissed off at me not using me anyway. So I have to worry about this relationship. Those people don't. And I think that's the thing. And if you're not working with someone you don't trust, then you're working with the wrong realtor.